But Stephen A., I'm starting with you here. Is Jalen Hurts the answer for this team?
For this week, you have to bench Carson Wentz. There's no question about it. He's been god-awful. We recognize that. And he's clearly not on the same page as Doug Peterson. And Doug Peterson's job is on the line. We can slice it any way we want to. I know Philadelphia. I know the city of Philadelphia. And I know enough about this Eagles organization and Mr. Jeffrey Lurie himself to know that you're not going to sit here and tolerate this level of ineptitude. It's just that simple. Somebody's head has got to roll. When you pay this man what you've elected to pay this man, and still in all, he finds himself looking this awful, somebody's got to be accountable for that because you convinced the owner to give him this kind of money. It's really, really that simple. I don't know if Hurts is the long-term answer in Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, I sincerely doubt it because I don't view him as ready as of yet, but he does have potential. I did like what I saw from him last week, and he deserves props for that. But he's not starting because of that. He's starting because Carson Wentz has been so god-awful, they have officially given up, not just on Carson Wentz for this season, but on the season. So right now, this is about finding out who Jalen Hurts is, what he's made of, what he's all about, and going from there. This is not about anything else. The Eagles know they don't deserve anything for this season. They know they stink. They know they've got a lot of problems to fix, and they know. And now they're questioning whether or not Jalen Hurts could potentially be the answer, and more importantly, whether or not Peterson should be the guy leading the helm in the years to come. This is what the rest of the season is about in Philadelphia. So Hurts is the right call at this particular moment in time, without question.
Eventually, you're going to start listening to me about Carson Wentz. And I was a big supporter of Carson Wentz. I loved watching him play. Tough as nails, huge arm, was capable of very high-end play, and he sustained it for most of the season that they won the Super Bowl until he got hurt. But I've seen regression since then, and especially last year going into this year. And so did Howie Roseman, the GM of the Eagles. So to answer the question directly, what do you do about Hurts, right? Like, do you start him for the rest of the season? Is he going to be is he the next guy? Is this permanent? Is he now the Eagles quarterback? The answer is, I don't know if he's the quarterback of the future, if he's the answer. But you must spend the rest of this season finding out. You must. Because everything I just told you about Wentz, Howie Roseman, the GM, obviously saw the same thing. Which is why I need to do this with sock puppets eventually for everyone. Why would a team that needs help at receiver, why would a team draft a quarterback in the second round when they have a 27-year-old franchise quarterback under a $100 million contract who's untradeable with that contract? Why would they draft a quarterback in the second round when they could have used that second-round pick to bundle it and go get DeAndre Hopkins and they need a receiver? Why would they draft a quarterback in the second round when they could have used that pick to move up in the draft and get a receiver like a CeeDee Lamb? Why? Because they were worried about Carson Wentz's regression, and their fears have now come to pass. So, can Hurts be a starting quarterback in the NFL, a franchise quarterback? I wouldn't rule it out. People are very focused on what a guy can't do. Tua took his job. Well, Tua was a very, very high draft pick, right? I mean, like, they thought he was going to be the next great one, a left-handed Drew Brees. That's okay. He played for Nick Saban and Lincoln Riley in college. Like, obviously, he can play. Can he do that in the pros? The Eagles think maybe. That they suspect he can. That's why they used a second-round pick on Hurts. So now they're going to have a top 5 or 6 pick probably this year. Do you draft a quarterback, yes or no? Carson Wentz is over in Philly. It's over. He'll be on the team because he has an immovable contract. He ain't going to be the starter or the franchise quarterback anymore. They have to decide, can this guy we drafted in the second round as an insurance policy against Wentz's regression, can he be our quarterback, yes or no? This is the audition right now, Stephen A. The rest of this season will tell you whether Hurts is the Eagles quarterback going forward or whether they draft a quarterback. But it ain't going to be Wentz.
Well, here's my problem with what you're explaining, Max. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I think that you have to highlight where the problem lies. In June of 2019 is when Wentz signed his deal for $128 million. I think it could go up to as high as $144 million. 107.9 was guaranteed. $66 million was guaranteed at signing. That is in June of 2019. Months later, not even a year, is when the draft took place, and they drafted his successor. Now, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, that's grounds for automatic dismissal right there. How in the hell do I just agree to pay a dude $107 million in guarantees, and 10 months later, you draft his successor? See, we have to look at it. When you talk about the regression that took place in Carson Wentz, Max, he didn't sign his deal in 2017, and then 2018 and 2019, he stunk up the joint. He signed his deal in June of 2019. So if he signed it in June of 2019, how the hell did such a precipitous fall off take place in 1 year to the point where I'm now thinking about his successor after I committed to this dude through 2024 in 10 months? So what I'm saying is, wait a minute, what happened? What happened in that 10-month period? Again, I'm not saying that you're wrong. What I'm saying to you, as you talk about Carson Wentz, because you're notorious for bringing up his regression and the fact that Roseman drafted his successor. I said, okay, so let me work with Max here and let me dissect this. I signed you to a deal, 107.9 guaranteed through 2024, 66 million guaranteed at signing, and 10 months later, I'm watching you draft his successor. You got some damn explaining to do if you Howie Roseman. Talk to me about that.
Well, first of all, what did I say? Peterson's got to go, Roseman's got to go, and Wentz is over. Like this whole Eagles era of Pennsylvania, whatever, it's over. So I agree with you there. That's bad GMing, actually. But let me tell you what I think happened. They had to make a choice between Foles, who was going to get paid, and Wentz. I understand the choice they made with Wentz. The locker room preferred Foles. The team functioned better with Foles. But Wentz had tantalizing upside and had sustained it for most of a season already at a very young age. You also traded up in the draft to get him, so you were invested in him already. You had reason. You were incentivized to want him to be the guy, and he gave you reason. Even when he got hurt, Stephen A., the guy's tough as nails, Wentz, completed plays in a situation where he shouldn't have been on the field, right? Now he comes back from injury. He hasn't been the same since then. I don't think he moves the same since injury, and that has something to do with it. There are lots of things that went into his regression. But once you let Foles walk out the door, you've made your choice. And now you feel like you have to commit to Wentz. The same contract they gave Goff in L.A., the same contract they eventually offered Dak in Dallas, they basically offered Wentz. That was the going rate. I wouldn't have done it. I think it's a mistake. I think the Wentz contract is a mistake. The Goff contract's a mistake. I think the Dak contract would have been a mistake. I don't think those guys are good enough to take that percentage of your cap, even though I know that's what quarterbacks get paid. So I think that's what was going on in their heads. But he didn't draft Hurts to be Wentz's successor. He drafted Hurts as an insurance policy in case Wentz's regression continued. And it did.
Well, Wentz kept getting hurt. So that had a lot to do with it. My point is, if you make that kind of investment, you go all in to make Wentz look good, not to make him insecure, because just 10 months earlier, you gave him that money.
The problem
won't be easy
wasn't
for Jalen Hurts, though, on
insecure.
Sunday.
The problem is Wentz was too secure. He had too much power in the organization.
Saints lead the NFL in total defense, so won't be easy for Jalen Hurts if you didn't hear me the first time. When we come back here on First Take, we got a lot of NBA to get into, gentlemen. LeBron James says he was part of the 2 hardest championships in NBA history. Find out why someone here isn't buying it. And James Harden adds the Sixers to his list of destinations, but should Philly give up Ben Simmons to get him? Don't miss that debate coming up next right here on First Take.